All right, good afternoon. My name's Anthony Corona, and today I'll be talking about scattered spiders cyber attacks on U.S. critical infrastructure during this past summer, which was summer of 2025. Um, this group is also known as UNC 3944 Octo Tempest and has become one of the most dangerous and disruptive hacking groups out there. So, over the next few minutes, I'll kind of explain who they are, the tactics they use, and I guess why their attacks matter so much and are so successful, and how to prevent it. So Scatter Spider first gained their attention for their social engineering skills, which is, um, and sorry, this was the targeted. So yeah, Scatter Spider first gained their attention for their social engineering skills. They're basically tricking people of breaking through their firewalls, but the firewalls that are humans. They often impersonate IT help desks to steal login credentials and bypass security controls. And on top of that, they deploy ransomware, which locks up systems until victims pay a ransom. This past summer, their attacks went beyond just corporate targets, and they started targeting critical sectors within the United States, like airlines, insurance companies, metal manufacturers, rail systems, and even commercial facilities. And that shift is what makes it so concerning because obviously we don't want them targeting that. And to understand their methods used, let's break down two key pieces of what they do, which is social engineering and ransomware. And social engineering is all about manipulating the actual person instead of hacking the servers directly, which is kind of rare. They usually try to do social engineering because it has a higher click rate or success rate with their attempts. But yeah, attackers trick their employees into hand over access. For example, they call an IT help desk pretending to be an employee who forgot their password and needs a password reset, or even bombarding someone with endless MFA push notifications until they approve one. So just really bombing their phone. It's hey, approve, 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 and then the person would get overwhelmed and click it. And ransomware is another piece that they use. Once inside the system, Scatter Spider can encrypt critical files and demand you pay payment, and they basically lock your stuff behind a paywall, and it's hey, give us money or else we're not gonna give you your stuff back. Um, and what makes it worse is in the past, I believe Mandy, the FBI, and Google researchers have put out that once the person actually gives in and pays, what makes it worse is they often use double extortion. So they make you pay again, and then once you pay again, they're all right, now you got to pay us to not leak our data. We gave you money, you gave us money to have your stuff back, but now you got to give us more money, and then on top of that, even more money for us to not leak it. So now I'm going to transition over to the timeline of attacks. It kind of started in June and led into July, but in June 2025, Scatter Spider launched attacks on U.S. Major U.S. airlines and metal companies, using social engineering to bypass IT defenses as well as SMTP email injections. Basically, injecting into the customers, they're not their customers, but the company's SMTP, not SMTP, but mail exchange servers, and SMTP injecting into them, sending emails to themselves, which were really, or from other people to them, which were really not supposed to be there, and hoping they click the link and enter their credentials. And then this was happening for a while. I know July 4th, the company I interned with in this past summer, they got hit by that around July. I would say maybe July 1st. It was the 4th of July weekend, and we got hit by SMTP injection, which was from them after the FBI contacted us and told us. But they hit us with that, so they were targeting the steel industry, and one of our competitors also got targeted, but they actually got ransomware installed onto their systems. We didn't, thankfully, but yeah. But on July 29th, so a few weeks after it happened, the FBI and CISA issued a joint advisory warning, warning companies about the revolving attacks, and I mean that alone shows you how serious their threat was. And then by August, the group expanded beyond airlines, and they were already kind of expanded beyond that, but they really targeted airlines. But yeah, they went into more insurance and retail companies once they knew the airlines were on their toes about it. And but that shows you how quickly they can scale up and shift to different industries. So what kind of attacks did they use? So one of the best and one of the best ways for attackers to try to get into stuff is trying to attack the help desk impersonation. Just because we know that help desk has a lot of power in like resetting passwords and things like that, and oftentimes don't have like a UB keys, for example, where they can the authentication is like more of a physical, which is something that Mandiant and Google researchers put out to basically have all help desk people have that to avoid different vulnerabilities. But yeah, they pretended to be employees when they called IT support. Or they'd even try to SIM swap, which is essentially they trick your mobile carrier to reset your phone and give them your number, so now they own your number, and then they can reset. So all the two-step authentication that gets sent to your phone, it can be reset, and it's actually going to them. And then yeah, or they try to just do that multi-factor authentication fatigue, where they just flood you with different requests. And then another thing they do is they try to do fake phishing campaigns and attacks. Essentially, is kind of what I explained earlier. They would go into um, they'd figure out the port you're using SMTP with, um, try to find your mail exchange server. Once you get those two, it's pretty simple to and easy to inject into it. And once you inject into it, you can send emails from anyone within the company to yourself or from other people. So they would do that with fake phishing links. And then yeah, so once they get in, they're able to deploy phishing kits, remote access tools, and even ransomware to hold your data hostage. And what makes them especially dangerous is how well they blend their technical skills with human manipulation. So you can see that they have like really good ransomware and different kits, but they also are really good with social engineering. So why does this matter? First of all, like it shows that the critical U.S. infrastructure is under constant pressure from cyber criminals, not just like nation states. Second, Scatter Spider relies more on exploiting human trust than exploiting technical flaws, which means every employee becomes part of security parameter, which is important. Which is why like training your employees with like phishing campaigns and making them aware is super important, especially when there's an uptick in um, actual like social engineering going around. And then third, their attack highlights the urgent need for stronger identity and access management, like a better MFA protection and stricter verifications at IT help desk. Ultimately, these incidents remind us that cybersecurity isn't just about firewalls and antivirus. It's about awareness, training, and being prepared to respond quickly when attacks happen. But that's a quick look at Scattered Spider's 2025 summer campaign. Um, they've shown how social engineering and ransomware can cause a real disruption across critical industries and why cybersecurity awareness is more important than ever. So, thank you again, everybody, for listening.